Check, check, testing. This is the HollowNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network on Facebook Live, and I'm Matt Holloway from Phoenix, Arizona. Hi, everybody. I think I've pretty much got my audio problem figured out. I know last week it was a little bit wonky, so just bear with me. I'm tweaking my camera just a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I wasn't feeling too hot this morning, but on with the show, as they say, so let's get this thing started. Good afternoon, everybody. You're listening to the HollowNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Matt Holloway. Oh man, we've got a ton to go over today. Electoral seismic waves are ripping across Europe this evening as the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland, or Alternative for Germany, has gained seats in the German Bundestag, their version of parliament. 93 seats out of a possible 650 gives a commanding voice to this far right-wing party. We're going to start there now on the HollowNet podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network. We hold the line against the night, and we lift our lanterns high to shine the light of truth on the battlefield of ideas. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the HollowNet podcast on the Lanterns Radio Network from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Matt Holloway. Welcome to the show. Today, we have quite a bit to unpack, and the first place we need to start is with the AfD party. That's Alternative für Deutschland, or Alternative for Germany. That's right, reports are coming in all over Google that the far right-wing nationalist, populist, anti-migrant party, known as AfD, has taken a commanding role, based on their previous electoral results, in the Bundestag, or the German parliament. The German parliament is traditionally about 620 seats, 622 seats, according to the wiki results I'm looking at, and right now, as of this hour, 4:06 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in the United States, the AfD has acquired 12.9% of the overall vote, actually approximately 13.5 now, for 93 seats of the 600-some-odd seat body. So this means that for the first time since World War II, what is considered to be a far right-wing ultra-conservative party is now taking a role in German politics. Now, many are looking at this as a response to the politics, or Willkommenpolitik, welcoming politics, of Angela Merkel, current premier of the German people. I think this is a further demonstration of what a lot of people in the political world are calling the Trump effect. Now, the Trump effect, so named for our very, very popular president of the United States right now, really represents a transformation of a nation's conservative movement into one of nationalism and populism. This is not necessarily a bad thing, as many on the left are going to run around screaming as if their head's on fire and tell you. This tells us mainly that the people of Germany are tired of being walked on. This is a synonymous reaction, just like we saw with Brexit and the UKIP party, the UK Independence Party, just like we saw in the recent election in France, where Marine Le Pen's National Front, or Front National, very nearly gained the presidency. We're now beginning to see similar movements in Austria. We've seen grumblings like this in Poland, where the government has become more and more hostile to the notion of open borders as the Russians have amped up military presences nearby, as Ukraine has destabilized, and as their nation too has been threatened with a flood of incoming Middle Eastern migrants. So, what we're looking at here is the people in Germany stepping up and demanding to be heard, and it's a very, very similar prospect and process to what happened here in the United States. You had your overall conservative party, couldn't say that with a straight face. You have your overall conservative party, who is now being supplemented by what is widely regarded as the far right wing of the party, as happened when Steve Bannon's Breitbart crowd and, Milo Yiannopoulos' crew started tagging in with President Trump's campaign late 2016. So I want you to think about it in that context. Angela Merkel will, after the end of the day, still be in charge of the German government. She will continue to be the premier of the German government. But now, very, very far from the Bundestag, where she and her party had control, which was 630 seats, sorry, I'm now corrected, her party, the CDU-CSU Union Party, had 309 seats, which was a commanding, dominating majority. After today, they are down to 238. And the FDP, or the Federal Democratic Party, the People's Democratic Party of Germany, their back has been broken. Without a single doubt. Their party is on the rocks today, with 78 seats in the German legislature. So today, we're seeing protests throughout Berlin as the election results roll in, and Google's updating them live every 30 seconds. And the people are going nuts. The left is coming out swinging on this and would have you believe that Germany is now ushering in new fascism. But I'll direct you to an article from an unlikely source. I'll direct you to an article from The Guardian. And The Guardian is actually a good source when we're looking for news across the pond. And I try to be that good source within the Lanterns Media Network, because I'm one of the few that really has an ear toward that. Excuse me, my allergies are still kicking. And there's an article out, it's an opinion piece by Cass Mudde, What the Stunning Success of AfD Means for Germany and Europe. And Cass goes on to describe that in 1991, Belgium had its first Black Sunday, where the populist radical right Flemish bloc gained 6.8% of the national vote. Since then, many Western European countries have gone through a similar experience, from Denmark to Switzerland, and now even the more stable Germany has its own Schwarzer Sonntag, or Black Sunday, and it's blacker than many people had expected. The populist radical right Alternative for Democracy Party, actually no, that's the Alternative for Germany Party. I hate to update Cass on that. Not only enters the Bundestag, but does so certainly as the third biggest party with a stunning 13.3% of the total vote. So this is like, for American respects, to put this kind of into our context, imagine a portion of the Republican Party broke with the rest of the party. Imagine the far-right flank of our Republican Party broke away completely, and then suddenly became the third most powerful voice in Congress. Imagine the seismic shockwaves that would send from coast to coast if a more conservative than the rest of the Republican Party broke away from the Republicans and snagged a good chunk of the Republican vote and ripped away over half of the Democrat vote in key seats. That is precisely what happened in Germany today. There was a total gain of about 8.8 percentage points, according to the exit poll. Moreover, both the center-right CDU-CSU Union Party and the center-left SPD scored their worst electoral results since the post-war era, with 32.5% and 20% respectively. That means that the AfD got 2/3 of the SPD vote, which are the socialist... let me actually see here. Hang on. I have the names up on my screen here. The SPD is the Social Democratic Party of Germany, lost 2/3 of their normal votes, and the CDU-CSU vote lost approximately 40%. Think of it. Think of how staggering a loss that could be if a third party more conservative than the rest of the Republican Party not only broke away, but took a decent chunk of the Democrats with it. The last time we had something close to that was in the 1980s with the Reagan coalition, when you had the Reagan Democrats peel off in droves because they decided that they weren't going to leave the Democratic Party, that the Democratic Party left them. Could this be a sign of things to come in American politics as we get into 2018 and up to 2020? Will we see a more conservative flank of the Republican Party peel away and take Democrats who have just had enough of the identity politics with them? Time will tell. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to listen to President Trump's address that he issued this past Friday, and wonder all together now, will we see true tax reform in our time? That when we come back from this quick break, here on the HollowNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network. Stick around. Just step away for just a second here. Podcast problems when you totally forget to shut off the notifications on your phone. Bad thing. So Facebook Live, how we doing? Sound coming through okay today? I sincerely hope so. Hey guys, I know there's a couple of you watching, but by all means feel free to pipe in. Let me know what you think. And we're back. You're listening to the HollowNet podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Matt Holloway. Now, I always make sure that I tune in for President Trump's weekly address. The most recent address here was on Friday, as it typically is. Runs about 3 minutes long. It's got about 26,000 views on YouTube. Makes me wonder if, maybe there isn't some YouTube censorship happening there, because I think President Trump would probably get a couple more hits, no? But I always listen up to it, and the President had some very interesting things to say this week about tax reform. That's right, they're talking about tax reform again. I wonder if it's actually going to happen. Although I'm not going to get my hopes too far up, but let's listen to what President Trump has to say. It's going to cost us about 3 minutes, but I think it's worth it. I'll go to that audio from President Trump right now. Okay, Facebook Live, I apologize. That's routing out through my cable out, so you might not be able to hear that. I'll provide a link right here so you can check that out. Sorry, good call out on that.
As one team, one people, and one American family. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
All right, so quite a bit to unpack there with President Trump. A simple tax plan that we can send in on a postcard that will reduce the overall tax burden to the middle class. I mean, this all sounds too good to be true, but I want to take a look and examine the track record here. We have right now a Congress who has tried repeatedly to repeal the Affordable Care Act, the so-called Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and it just gets worse and worse every time we look at this. I mean, every time I pick up a newspaper or click on Google, it seems John McCain has once again decided, heck with my party's goals, forget the voters and the promises that I made. I'm just not going to ever vote in support of my party or of repealing Obamacare whatsoever. To the point where I have to say about John McCain, when the Washington Post is singing your praises, that could indicate a small problem from a conservative standpoint. Right Turn, the Washington Post, says McCain shows how pathetic his GOP colleagues are, written by Jennifer Rubin on September 24th. Oh, that's from today. So she writes, at a rally for Senator Luther Strange, Republican from Alabama, Friday night, President Trump claimed Senator John McCain's decision to vote no on the Cassidy Graham health care bill was an unexpected thing. If so, Trump is oblivious and his legislative liaisons are rotten at their jobs. I'll take that they're rotten at their jobs. I'll take that one. McCain's decision was unexpected only if one hadn't been paying attention or hadn't taken him seriously when he nixed the prior version of Trump Care. In a written statement, McCain said, as I've repeatedly stressed, healthcare reform legislation ought to be the product of regular order in the Senate. Committees of jurisdiction should mark up all legislation with input from all committee members and send their bill to the floor for debate or amendment. That is the only way we might achieve bipartisan consensus on lasting reform, without which a single policy that affects 1/5 of our economy and every single American family will be subject to the reversal with every change of administration and congressional majority. I cannot in good conscience vote for the Graham-Cassidy proposal. I believe we could do better working together, Republicans and Democrats, and have not yet really tried. Nor could I support it without knowing how much it will cost, how it will affect insurance premiums, how many other people helped hurt by it, without a full CBO score, which won't be available by the end of the month. We won't have reliable answers to any of those questions. The question is not why McCain would vote against the bill under such circumstances, but why any responsible Republican would vote for it, according to Jennifer Rubin. Do you know why any responsible Republican would vote for a bill that gets rid of Obamacare? Because they promised! Every single Republican that sits in Congress today swore up, down, left, right, center, side to side that they would repeal and replace, take context of that, it's very important, repeal and replace Obamacare. Okay? That means the first step is you bloody well repeal it. The second step is you then replace it. So repealing it sets back the clock, more or less, to 2008. Okay? Follow me for this one. It sets back the clock to the way the insurance industry was in 2008, which is an easy thing to accomplish through different amendments and different additions to a bill. You can basically peel back all of the provisions of Obamacare, leaving the system de facto as it stood. You then can choose to make a replacement using the exact methodology that Senator McCain is professing and lauding a respect for. President McCain. Senator McCain is giving a great deal of respect to. Suddenly, Senator McCain is all for good order in the Senate. I'm sorry, your colleagues on the other side did not demonstrate such care for good order when they forcibly rammed this bill down the American people's throats. And we have to vote for it before we can read it. You remember that one? From good old Nancy Pelosi, we have to vote on it before we get to read it? This entire exercise is grandstanding from a gentleman senator from the state of Arizona who is nearing the end of his career and wants to go out looking like the balanced elder statesman. Okay, that's it. That's where we're going here. He wants to go out looking like the moderate peacemaker between each side, and he wants to go out as the man who is able to bring the Republicans and the Democrats back together. And you know what? If he could pull it off, God love him. But in the meanwhile, he needs to stop playing with my checkbook and your checkbook and everybody else's insurance coverage. He and every one of his colleagues in the Senate with an R next to their name who ran and won in an election in the last decade, and in the House, same proviso applies, ran under the precept, the preconceived notion of repealing and replacing Obamacare. And now you choke at the very end of it. That, Jennifer Rubin of the Washington Post, is how you demonstrate the pathetic state of the congressional GOP. That they cannot even deliver on promise number one. Repeal it, then replace it. You can do it all in one fell swoop. I'm proud of you. Go for it. Am I sitting here swearing up and down and professing that I love the Graham Cassidy bill? No. I'm saying a bill that was forced down the American people's throats and definitely did not follow through the proper forms and sets of the Senate should not benefit from the same restraint in its repeal. Okay? No restraint was shown in creating it, and no restraint should be shown in removing it. It is onerous. It is poisonous. It is killing this country. Now we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, oh, geez. We're going to talk about a couple of mildly upsetting things. What am I talking about mildly upsetting? There are some of them that are downright damn depressing. When we come back, we're going to tell you what we know about the church shooting in Tennessee, what new developments have come from that. We're also going to talk about the media spreading more lies about Russian hacking. And we do a wrap-up and roll through the news to come this final week of September in the year of our Lord 2017. If you're online, we're Facebook Live right now on Facebook.com/HollowNet. You can tweet at Matt D. Holloway or at the HollowNet. And we are here talking it out on Lanterns Media Network. You're listening to the HollowNet podcast. From Phoenix, Arizona, I'm Matt Holloway. Stick with us. How we doing so far, Facebook? taking a look into this shooting in Tennessee, and if you haven't read the news on it yet, it's getting ugly. We're going to dig into that right when we come back from this commercial, and good God, this is sad. And we're back. You're listening to the HollowNet podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network. I'm Matt Holloway from Phoenix, Arizona, and we're on Facebook Live as we speak. If you want to join the conversation, check it out. So, yeah, it looks like there's some issues here with my audio clips on Facebook Live, which I'm looking to fix, guys. I appreciate you jumping out and telling me it's a new setup. But hey, on the practical upshot, you can hear my voice this week. Yeah, good times. Awesome. Anyway, on a serious note, we cannot really do a show this week. A show where we discuss the news and world events without addressing some of the horrible stories that happen out there. And today's horrible story is that there's been a deadly church shooting in Tennessee. Fox News reports one woman was killed and 7 other people were hurt after a suspect identified as a Sudanese immigrant, that would be a man from Sudan, opened fire at a Tennessee church on Sunday. Police said, as federal officials told Fox News, the FBI will initiate a civil rights investigation into the shooting. The suspect is one 25-year-old Emmanuel Kidiga Samson, who immigrated from Sudan 20 years ago, police said. He's suspected of bringing 2 pistols and a mask to the predominantly white Burnett Chapel Church of Christ in Antioch, southwest of Nashville, before opening fire just after 11 a.m. So, Metropolitan Nashville Police Department tweeted that Samson had been released from the hospital and charged with murder and attempted murder. An usher identified as Robert Engel, 22 years old, confronted the gunman at one point and was pistol whipped, causing significant injury to his head. They said Engel went to his own car, grabbed a pistol, and headed back to a church. So I think with little information to go on, it would appear that one Robert Engel attempted a somewhat heroic defense of his church and his fellow parishioners. Law enforcement has confirmed that Samson is a legal U.S. resident who immigrated from Sudan in 1996. Though it was initially reported that the gunman shot himself, police said it's unclear whether he shot himself with a gun or unintentionally discharged it during the scuffle with Engel. Police said that the Burnett Chapel churchgoers recognized Samson as attending their church 1 or 2 years ago, but noted that he hadn't attended services in quite a while. Police identified those being treated at Vanderbilt University are in stable condition as a William Jenkins, 83, Marlene Jenkins, 84, Peggy Spann, 65, Linda Bush, 68, David Spann, 60, who is also being treated at Vanderbilt and was listed in critical but stable condition. Catherine Dickerson, 64, was in stable condition, along with Engel, who was also treated at Skyline. Now, Metropolitan Nashville Police Chief Steve Anderson has called Engel a hero for his actions at the church, and I think that should be the big takeaway from this story, is that a heroic man with a gun did his best to save the lives of his fellow parishioners. So, before anybody, and I'm going to walk that back a little bit because that's going to sound like I'm just politicizing this in a pro-Second Amendment stance. I don't want anybody to politicize this, because it was a bad man with a gun, walked in, shot some elderly people, killed at least one person, and then was confronted by a good guy with a gun. So we have good guy with a gun, bad guy with a gun on equal ground here. So let's not turn this into yet another Second Amendment thing. Let's keep our eye on the ball here. A man walked into a church and opened fire on innocent people worshiping. That is keeping your eye on the ball, because this is going to play into every brand of identity politics. This is going to be branded as a black man committing an act of violence against the white church. That is 100% certain to happen, because those are the facts. This is a black man from Sudan committing an act of violence against a predominantly white church. It was right there in the Fox story. This is a man with a gun stopping another man with a gun. This literally pegs all of the slots that people are going over and trying to insert and inject their politics into this. But what we should take away today from this story is that there was a hero today at that Tennessee church. There was a hero today that stood his ground for the people that he loved and cared about and who shared his beliefs. And that man should be celebrated today. And that this I'm not even going to repeat his name again because I don't think I should. This horrifically based and defiled husk of a man strolled into a church wearing a clown mask when he opened fire, according to several witnesses. Police said what he wore more closely resembled a ski mask. But I want you to pray for the city of Antioch today, Antioch, Tennessee, and the parishioners of the Burnett Chapel Church of Christ, who were simply going about their Sunday worship today, when a demon dressed in the clothing of a man strolled through the door and opened fire in a callous and heartbreaking attack. People are going to point to the earlier shootings, I believe they were in Georgia, of Dylan Roof, I believe his name was, when he shot up a predominantly African-American church. And people are going to point to this and likely try to draw a parallel, or that it is an action in response, and that this is somehow justifiable by violence by white supremacists against black churches. Somebody's going to draw that conclusion. I want you to resist that conclusion. I want you to not be drawn into that debate. It is lowering and debasing all of us to drag down into these identity politics and get down into the muck and filth with people who would attempt to politicize this for their own gain. This man is probably going to be lauded as a hero by some extremist groups. There are going to be stories over the course of the next week where people are going to try to tie him to Black Lives Matter. People are going to try to tie him to the new Black Panther Party. They're going to try to tie him to every group that we on the right don't like. I'm going to tell you now, until there is proof, until there is fact, don't buy into it. Don't bite. Don't click. Don't comment. Don't like. Don't share. That is the fuel for something to go viral. Wait for the data. The true, hard fact. We don't know this man's motivations. One can guess. But we don't know. Was this a response to Dylan Roof homicides? I don't know. But it's irresponsible to say so right now, and it's irresponsible to draw conclusions, and it's irresponsible to launch post hoc ergo propter hoc arguments. If you haven't heard that phrase before, post hoc ergo propter hoc, because it follows, it is caused by. This is a common logical fallacy. So people will say, because this attack of a black Sudanese immigrant on a predominantly white church followed attacks of white supremacists against predominantly black churches, they are caused by it. It is a backlash. It is a result from it. We don't know. We simply don't know. And it is not worth diving into the muck on just yet. Wait for proof. Breathe, pray, and grieve. Grieve for the person who was lost and for the innocents who were injured. And pray for the soul of America, the collective souls of us all, as we continue down the rabbit hole of identity politics and race baiting. Now, I'm going to bet that was a pretty controversial 10 minutes. Probably going to get it in the comments section for that, but I stand by it. Think, pray, and do not jump to conclusions. And if others try to get you to jump to conclusions, resist it. The truth will out. And we're here to shine a light and to wage honest intellectual battle with an emphasis on honesty in that intellectual battle. Take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to address a little bit more of the news of the day, a little bit more of what's trending. I'm probably going to facepalm into my keyboard when I talk to you about the stupid crap that's trending on Twitter. And we're going to talk about what we're looking forward to next week here on the HollowNet podcast on the Lanterns Media Network from Phoenix. I'm Matt Holloway. Stick around.
years of Jewish reckoning, there have been many deep, terrifying valleys, but also many bright and towering peaks. One peak stands highest in the ranges of human history. One example shines forth of a people uniting to produce abundance and to share the good life fairly and with freedom. One union stands out, the promise of justice and opportunity for every citizen. That union is the United States of America.
Allied reinforcements have arrived from the west.
You're listening to the HollowNet on Lanterns Media Network. The Millennial Conservative Resistance begins here.
And we're back. You're listening to the HollowNet podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network. Woo! Home stretch, last 10 minutes. Yeah, good times. Let's get this show on the road. Oh, man. I'm gonna have to talk about sports. Jesus, I'm not good at sports. If you're watching Facebook Live, yeah, I'm a nerd. Got the glasses going, real thick. Can probably pick up cable on them. Anybody who knows me any kind of decent realizes I'm way more into video games. And, I actually have a brand new shirt. I'm going to show you this. It was really cool. On Facebook Live. This is an American flag, and it's got, the Starfleet logo embossed right in the middle of it. Isn't that badass? Isn't that awesome? I'm not supposed to say bad A on the... Yeah. Anyway, I really dig that shirt. My HollowNet shirt's dirty, so I couldn't wear it. But I digress. NFL Week 3, according to the Washington Post, protests escalate as Steelers, Titans, Seahawks skip national anthem. Trump praises, quote, solidarity. Oh my God, is this actually news? Is this really news? This is it. This is the top story. This is at the top of the Google News feed. If I go to what's trending in the United States right now on United States Twitter, what is trending is hashtag take the knee. Seriously. Angela Merkel just got reelected in Germany. A far-right party, the AfD, has taken 13.5% of the vote and has 93 seats in the Bundestag. Okay, Hurricane Maria has ripped Puerto Rico apart, devastatingly flooding the nation, ripping down power lines. The island's going to be 100% without power for probably the next several weeks, if not months. A dam broke. Puerto Rico, a part of the United States of America, has been ripped to shreds by a storm. And what the hell is making the top headline? NFL Week 3 protests escalate as Steelers, Titans, and Seahawks skip the national anthem. I'm a bit offended here. I could not possibly give any less of a crap that some overgrown prima donnas who make way more money than anybody can justifiably explain to me to throw little balls around while the world pays to applaud are refusing to acknowledge the national anthem. Is it annoying? Hell yes, it is very annoying. Is it stupid? Yes. It's extremely stupid. But this is where the media has completely dropped the ball. They have totally blown it. Without doubt, without question. when you consider this to be the most important news that the American people need to know today. It's not. You know what is a particularly important need-to-know piece of information? I'm about to drop it onto Facebook Live right now. The important need-to-know piece of information is that the Salvation Army is all set to take your donations right now. So if you go to give.salvationarmyusa.org, I dropped a link into the Facebook Live page. You can donate to relief for Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria via the Salvation Army right now. This is not a paid plug. I am in no way taking any money from them. I have family in Puerto Rico today who we have not heard from in over a week. So to them, I say we are praying for you. God be with you. You can get relief updates on Facebook.com/SalArmyEDS, on Twitter at SalArmyEDS, and you can donate at the link I provided in the Facebook Live, https://give.salvationarmyusa.org. Puerto Ricans are Americans. They are American citizens, our brothers, our sisters, our aunts, uncles, our cousins, our blood. We need to reach out to them today and let them know they are not forgotten. The mayor of San Juan, with a heartbroken, lost-choked voice, said plaintively, "Do not forget us." Well, here at the HollowNet, we will not forget you, Puerto Rico. Nor will we forget the victims of Harvey in Texas, Irma in Florida, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, or any of our American brothers and sisters who are in loss and pain tonight. So if you can, please reach out to the Salvation Army. If you don't like the Salvation Army, find somebody you do like. You can look up mercury1.org, mercury1.org. That's the Blazes outfit. I've worked with them before. I know they're good people and that the money goes where it's supposed to. But I want us all to resist the media's clarion call to jump up and join the rabble and be nice and pissed off that a bunch of actors who throw a ball around a field refuse to take the knee. Sorry, I'm not biting. You've been listening to the HollowNet podcast here on the Lanterns Media Network. That wraps it up for today's show. And I'll end it as I always end it. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you. From Phoenix, Arizona, where we hold the line against the night, I'm Matt Holloway.